Hare Ganga Mahadev Sri Shankara Parvati Pati Mahadev Sri Shankara.
Namaste, it's Sahara Rose, and welcome back to the Highest Self podcast, a place where we discuss what makes you your soul's highest development. And before we get started, I have an announcement for you. So on my own spiritual journey, I realized that I wasn't resonating with more information. I always felt like there was another book, another thing to do, another way to become, and I was really yearning for a form of spirituality that invited my whole self, my femininity, my creativity, my desire to be in my physical body, in my pleasure, in my joy, in my heart, in my womb, in my dance. For me, spirituality is not about leaving the body, but really about being so immersed in it that you become one with it. So this month in Rose Gold Goddesses, the Sacred Sisterhood Collective, all about embodying the goddess within, we are diving deep into Shakti, which is this principle, this essence of divine feminine wisdom. I take you on a journey to learn about how Shakti shows up in you, how she is your breath, your body, your desire to be immersed in all things rather than separate from it. We dive deep into the differences between spirit and soul, and I guide you through practices and rituals to connect more to the Shakti essence that lives inside of you. The path of the goddess is not to detach yourself from the world enough that you can handle being in it, but rather creating the world you desire to be a part of. And that is what we are doing this month in Rose Gold Goddesses. So if this is calling your name, you're seeking to make dance and embodiment your spiritual practice, then come join us in this Rose Gold Goddesses circle. It is included in your membership at rosegoldgoddesses.com, or you can try it on its own at rosegoldgoddesses.com/Shakti. You can find those links in the show notes, and I'm super excited to invite you inside. I am so excited because my new book, Discover Your Dharma, just came out 2 days ago. It is available in bookstores, Amazon, wherever you get your books internationally. And it is all about finding your soul's purpose. I think that this year is the year that more people than ever before will remember their dharmas. And the reason I say remember instead of find is because your dharma, your soul's purpose, is already inside of you. It is encoded into your DNA. It is who you are. It is why you are here. It is how you are meant to express your gifts, your talents, your curiosities, your excitement. All of that is interconnected in your dharma. And in this book, I really share with you, first of all, what it is, then how to find it. I've created really specific frameworks because I wanted every single person to read this book to walk away with a clearer sense of what their dharma is. So I've created this process called the Dharma Blueprint process, which is a 5-stage system that lets you find out exactly where to direct your energy. So the book is both spiritual and really actionable as well. I have my Dharma Archetype quiz, which a lot of you guys have taken the Dharma Archetype quiz online at dharmaarchetypequiz.com. And I have the full extended assessment in the book. So much wisdom. I've been reading excerpts from the book every week on the podcast for the past month, and there is so much more. It really is my life's work and something that is so needed at this time with so much, job uncertainty and loss in transition, and the opportunity in this moment right now to redefine who it is that we want to be, how we want to serve, how we want to express our gifts. So we don't go back to working jobs that we didn't like or we're not in alignment with our truth, but can actually take this as an opportunity to really decide how we want to show up in this new world, in this world that we are forever creating with our desires and our visions and our goals and our action. And let this be heaven on earth, not waiting for something to happen, not waiting for an external source or anything in the world around us, but really choosing it from within. So we all have just the full possibility and in fact, the birthright to live a life that feels joyous, that we are excited about each day, that we feel like we are using our gifts to the maximum on a daily basis. And this is really possible for every single person. And in fact, it's why we are here. And I really want to share that the joy way is the way forward, that the idea that we have to suffer, that we have to get through the misery, that we have to sacrifice in order to then survive, not even be happy, is false, is based off of limiting beliefs and fear, and based off of a paradigm that is crumbling right before us. So we can really choose the joy way. And in fact, this way will be more sustainable because we are wanting to make a change. We are wanting to really express outwardly because we are filled inwardly. So it is so important for us to find our dharmas because this is really the way that we can truly be of service to humanity. So you can check it out. Get my bonuses at iamsahararose.com/dharma. The link is in the show notes. I have some epic bonuses for you guys. My Discover Your Dharma meditation, tickets to my virtual book launch where I'll be answering your questions on a Zoom call. I got some giveaways happening, my Dharma tapping practice, my Dharma embodiment practice, and so much more. So if you are ordering this book or have ordered this book, head over to iamsahararose.com/dharma to submit your receipt there. That is how you will get the bonuses. That's the only way I'll be able to email you. So submit your receipts over there and the link is in the show notes. So I watched this movie the other day called Soul. Have you seen it yet? It is a new Pixar movie, Disney Pixar movie, and I was blown away by it, truthfully. I heard that there was a new spiritual movie that was coming out, and it's not marketed as a spiritual movie at all, but I was hearing a lot of my spiritual friends talking about it, so I knew I needed to check it out because, frankly, I don't really watch TV or watch movies simply because I can't find anything that I resonate with. I can't find anything that's conscious and I feel like is making me become a better person. So I don't really watch anything, and I want to. If anyone has suggestions, let me know. But a lot of people were suggesting to me to check out this movie Soul, so I did. And oh my goddess, it was like the most spiritual, soulful Disney movie I've ever seen so far. And what blew me away was that so many concepts that I share in Discover Your Dharma were actually shown in this book. So in this book, it shows that souls between lifetimes choose their purposes. That it really shows that when we die, we go up this ladder into the cosmos, and in this in-between layer, we work with different mentors to help us, better understand our purpose and what we want to come back to this planet to fulfill. And then we come back and we choose, and we're actually super excited to come back to Earth because we can learn and we can grow here, and we are encoded inside of us. We have these things that make us come alive. I think in the movie they call it your spark. So you have several things. You have your spark, but you also have your desire to enjoy the little things in life. That's also really important. Family, friends. It's like a number of things that you have that are these buttons that light up inside of you. And when they're all lit up, that's how you know you really made the most of this lifetime. So these souls are up there in this cosmic layer, and they're working with their mentors until they can finally go down. Now, in this specific movie, there is a man who's a jazz player, and he was not really doing it to his fullest extent. He knew the thing that lit him up, and that was playing the piano, the jazz piano, but he wasn't quite embodying his Dharma yet. He was a music teacher at a school, and his dream was to actually be performing. However, we weren't quite sure why, but he never really had his big break. He would go to auditions, and it wouldn't really work out. And he seemed to be at this point of his life that he was kind of procrastinating and didn't really have his act together, you could say. He wasn't really thriving in his social life. He wasn't making friends. He wasn't asking other people how they felt. He just had this intense goal of, I need to make it as a famous jazz pianist, but other areas of his life were falling apart. So in this movie, he's, in his mid-40s trying to make it, but his reality is that he is this school music teacher and feeling undervalued and not really appreciated and not really inspired. But every time he would play that piano, he would get into this flow-like state. And in the movie, they show it like you have these like beautiful like stars around you. You're in this purple landscape, and we all have things that we do that make us get to that state. For me, it's dancing, and it's also speaking. For someone else, it could be painting. For someone else, it could be weaving, cooking. communicating with animals, etc. So we all have those things, and it's really important for us to find them in this lifetime, because when we get to those states, we are actually in this realm within the cosmic realm, which they show, where you are basically manifesting and you are able to essentially create your reality and help others as well. So the goal is really to find what it is that brings you to this flow-like state, and be there to also be of service to others. Now, in this movie, he had this, obsession with playing the piano, but he unfortunately, right before he was going to go to this really big audition with this band that he loved, he passed away. So he did not want to go up to the cosmos. He was on those stairs that were going to, and it wasn't really a heaven. It was more of just like a star layer. But he didn't want to go there. He was like, I haven't completed what I needed to do in this lifetime. I wanted to be a jazz pianist and perform and like do that on a regular basis. And today was about to be like my big break. This was supposed to be the first day of the rest of my life. And now I'm dead. So he's in this layer, and somehow he accidentally gets paired up as a mentor. They think he's someone else, and he gets paired up to be a mentor with this soul 22. And this soul, who has a female voice in it, but has expressed that she's genderless, formless, like personalityless. She's a soul, but she does not want to go to Earth. And she's been paired with many different mentors, from Gandhi to Mother Teresa, etc. And she's just like, nope, I don't want to be a human. I don't want to do the Earth thing. I don't want a body. I don't want to do any of it. So here he is paired up with her, and she's kind of his only chance to go back to Earth. So something happens, I won't share exactly, and they end up back on Earth together. And really the movie begins there, of starting off with how he can really come back to his body, come back to his form, and the lessons that he learns being out of it that he wouldn't have known if he was still in it in his, regular mindset. Now, there's so much to this movie, and I was really just amazed that Disney chose to create a film like this, because it is very out there for considering the Disney movies before were like freaking Aladdin and Little Mermaid, which were just so patriarchal. Like, I loved it at the time, but I tried to rewatch it recently. I'm just like, what? Like, so much just patriarchy, racism, colonialism, all the things. But this movie was not like that. I mean, the fact that they are showing that we are universal souls, we are not attached to one form, one lifetime, and that we all have these things that make us come alive. We all have these sparks, and this lifetime is about finding it. And it's not just about finding it and losing yourself in it and giving up on everything else either, but it's also you enjoying, the leaves turning colors, and your mother's, way of sewing clothes for you, and the little things as well. And I think what this movie really showed was that, and what Discover Your Dharma is all about, is your purpose is not just this like one thing. It's not just this one goal that like, if I get this goal, I've made it, I'm good, like I'm done. It's actually, to continue to be in alignment with your fullest expression. In my words, that's how I would say it. But I would say the movie is showing that he was so obsessed with, if I could just make it as a famous jazz pianist, then I will be happy. And it's not that. It's choosing happiness in every single moment, and that actually fueling you, that actually creating more possibilities, creating more connections, and creating a better state of mind from which you can do everything with. Another really small detail they said in the movie that stood out to me, and a lot of the stuff in the movie, it went really quickly. I wish like the whole movie was just on like the soul types and stuff, but it, is a movie technically for children, though I'm curious how many kids watch it versus adults. But one small little thing that they say in the movie that stuck with me was that it's not about finding that thing either that can be addictive, that actually makes you disconnect, but it's really about that thing that you can give back. So the examples, that they sort of shared there, that I feel like they were hinting to was, for example, you may be loving playing video games and really losing yourself in playing video games and feeling like you're in your flow, or on Instagram or TikTok or whatever else. And you may feel like time is passing, I'm in flow, but that's not your purpose. That's negating you from your purpose. That's actually you numbing yourself from the truth of who you are. So the purpose is to actually find something that you are in your creator mode. You are expressing, you are being present, you are not escaping. So overall, I highly suggest people watch it. I think that it is so timely, and I just couldn't believe that this is the movie that's coming out right when Discover Your Dharma is coming out, right after this big 2020 year. And the world is ready for it. We're ready for people living their dharmas. We know what it's like to not. We are ready for a larger view of spirit that surpasses any religion or doctrine or any form of ideology, but seeing ourselves as eternal. And I think what it really reminds us is that we all just want to feel fulfillment. Every single one of us wants to find something that makes us feel alive. And this life can be really painful and really mundane if you don't find that. And one note that I would like to add is that it's not just one thing either. I think that so many of us are like, well, what's that one thing that I love to do? And it's not just one. Some people find one thing that they may really stick to, but they probably have other interests as well. And then some of us do many different things in our career. And I share the 3 different doshas and how they relate to your dharmic path. For example, Vata types tend to do a lot of different things related to their dharma. Pittas tend to really focus on one thing and then finish it and move on to the next. Kaphas tend to find their dharma in their relationships. So I share more about that in the book. But for example, for me, I love writing, and it's something that I've always loved to do from the time I was a kid. My mom is moving out of her childhood home, and she's like, there's so many papers and things that you would write. I would write so much, but now I feel more in alignment with speaking than I do writing, because I wrote so much that now speaking to me is feeling really exciting. And before I would have definitely considered myself a writer and then a speaker. And now I consider myself a speaker foremost and then a writer, because I'm more excited and passionate about doing it now. So it's also allowing these different iterations of your dharma to come through. Sometimes we cling to one thing, and then when that thing is no longer exciting for us, we're like, oh shit, I guess that thing was never my purpose. And maybe it was your purpose for that amount of time, and you went through that wave, and now another wave is taking you elsewhere. And that doesn't mean that it was a failure, it was wrong. I mean, so many people make massive, massive career changes throughout their life. And when you really look at the broad scope of things, it really was preparing them for what was to come next and to allow this flow to continue. Now for me as well, dance is something that I'm so excited and so passionate about, and really am devoting an hour a day to just dancing and being in my practice, particularly belly dancing, which is something I've always loved to do since I was 14, 15 years old is when I started, and I began, performing and doing classes, but then, you get older and you don't have time for these things anymore. And it's something that I'm really wanting this year. Because of the quarantine, I've allowed myself more time to, and now I'm realizing just how much it fulfills me with everything else I do with my life. That again, I'm not a dance teacher. It's not what I do for my profession. However, it's something that I love to do, that I feel in this flow state that is also to me part of my dharma and part of the meaning of life. So I really think that we often pressurize ourselves to make every single thing that we might like to do our purpose, our career, our job, and it could be one of its expressions. And it could be something you never monetize. It could be something you completely keep to yourself. It could just be something that you do to let yourself feel the totality of who you are. And those things can change. I was just in Costa Rica during this break, and something that came up for me was that I really love to use my hands. I was thinking about how when I was a kid, how much I loved art projects. Getting a new art project was my highest of highs, and making a stained glass or beadwork or pottery or painting something. Just to be able to create something with my hands was so fun. I was such an artistic kid, and I don't really do that. I guess writing, you're kind of using your hands when I'm typing, So I decided I wanted to start weaving. So I got, macrame material, dream catcher material, and I have been weaving, y'all. It's a lot harder than it seems, especially the macrame, but I'm doing it and it feels really fulfilling to be able to use my hands and, create something just for the sake of it without it being anything that I'm not going to create an Etsy shop with my macrame, at least not quite yet, but something that I just love to do for the sake of it. So I really do want to open up that your Dharma is anything that feels like your fullest expression. It feels like why you are here. It reminds you of your truth. It allows you to feel joy. It gives you this feeling of embodiment and presence. This is all related to your Dharma. So watch the movie Soul for sure. Check it out. My only complaint, I guess, it's not even a complaint about the movie though, was I feel like at the end, it kind of ended pretty quickly. Like I feel like it could have gone on, or just went a little deeper. I feel like it like kind of dropped these little codes, these little hints, but then it didn't really finish it. It was sort of like, you have this purpose and then kind of like the end. I wish it finished it up a little bit more, but I also understand that the purpose of this movie is not like a Gaia documentary here. It is meant to entertain kids, and just the mere fact that they mention this, that this is part of the plot, is amazing and is strides ahead, and it really shows how much consciousness is rising and how much these conversations are flowing, not just in spiritual circles, but in a planetary level. And that is so exciting and really feels like affirmation, because sometimes, like I'm alone. I think we're all alone most of the time right now, especially with the quarantine. And it can feel like, am I just in this echo chamber that everyone's spiritual and no one really is? And, am I just like thinking consciousness is lifting, but then you go outside and everyone's the same? But then when you see that Pixar is choosing that to be their big Christmas movie, it shows that no, it's not just us. We're not alone. The fact that all of the producers and marketers and all the people on board for that project, which are, hundreds and thousands of people, have chosen to invest in this movie, and that critics are talking about it. Of course, most of them are like, we didn't quite understand the plot, but it was really good. I think what matters is that seed was planted, just this idea, this perspective of what if. What if we were souls having a human experience? What if we chose our purpose prior to incarnation? What if the reason that we are here is to find the thing that makes us feel flow and to be present and enjoy the small things? What if? And then it starts to not feel so far off. It starts to become normalized. The same way Disney normalized a lot of shitty things, let's start to normalize some conscious things, And it's happening. The pendulum is shifting, and this to me was such great affirmation that this is real. Like the new paradigm is here. We are in it. It's not coming. It is here fully. We are anchored into it. And right now we are beginning to see. And I really think 2021 is this year that we are fully out of the spiritual closet. We are letting these things take center stage. And of course, not every single person's experience is this at all. Still, a majority of people, probably not. But little things like this are small accomplishments and celebrations. Every single time one little thing starts to shift, it really does have a ripple effect towards everything else. And I know so many people in 2020 who were not having these conversations before, who are not in the conscious space or even aware, in my 5 stages of Dharma discovery that I share about in the book, a lot of people had their stage 1 this past year, which was the realization that they are not on their ideal timeline. The trajectory of their life is not where they want to be going, and something needs to change. And that's what stage 1 is all about. And then naturally we enter into stage 2, which is self-improvement, and then spiritual awakening, etc. So a lot of people right now are having their stage 1 wake up, something needs to give moments, and then books, movies, podcasts, all forms of content, all forms of conversation, etc., end up educating them and allowing them to see the world in ways that they were not able to see it before, and showing them a higher perspective of so much more that is possible for them that they just didn't know was available. So I'm grateful for this movie, and I'm grateful for everyone out there who's doing this type of work, whether you're helping people with their ancestors or in therapy or with their kids or with the environment and animals, just anyone right now who is working on making a better world. I'm so grateful for you. We're in this together. We got this. This is why we came down here truthfully. I'm forever reminded of why my soul chose to reincarnate on this planet at this time in this body with this archetype for this reason. And I hope this year allows you to see why all of that is also the case for you as well. And when more of us are in alignment with our dharmas, we are able to naturally fill in the gaps of whatever needs to be filled, and the world can finally come into balance, because that is how it's designed. We are designed to be whole. We already are whole. And when we find that wholeness in ourselves, we naturally fill that void where we were meant to rise. And then we show others that it is possible for them, and they too realize their wholeness and they rise. And then we can come together in unity as a collective, as whole individuals, and create a whole society. So that is what we are working on. We are creating it. We're in it right now. It's happening. The light has already won. So it's happening. And it's just a matter of, how long this timeline will take, what paths the collective chooses, but individually we can all choose to step into our dharmas right here, right now. And, I share in the book that dharma is not a spectator sport. It's not something that you figure out from the outside and then you go do. There's no 30-day money-back guarantee on your dharma. It's something that you choose right now to step into. What is my fullest expression? Who am I? What are my archetypes? You do the practices, the Dharma Blueprint practice. You dive deeper into yourself and then let your life be a natural reflection of you understanding yourself on a deeper level. So that is my review of the movie. Let me know if you suggest others. Just send me an email. My email is just right on my Instagram bio, but I really do look for conscious movies and stuff to watch. So let me know. And it's something I definitely, I know part of my dharma is to create conscious media like that in the TV sphere. So stay tuned. It's coming for you. And if you have not yet, check out my book, Discover Your Dharma, over at iamsahararose.com/dharma to get your pre-order, post-order now, bonuses, your meditation, your tapping practice, your dharma embodiment practice, and tickets to my virtual book launch, which is happening on February 4th. You'll be able to ask me questions. And if you're listening to this after February 4th, you'll be able to get the replay. Love you guys so much. Grateful for you doing your dharmas. And I hope you enjoy the book. If you loved this episode, I would love to send you a free gift, which is the first half of my unreleased book, Eat Right for Your Mind Body Type. This is a different book than Eat Feel Fresh, my first book ever, which is not released anywhere, and I am gifting it exclusively to those who leave a review of my podcast in the iTunes store. So all you got to do is head over to iTunes, where you may be listening to this podcast, and leave a review. Take a screenshot that you've left it and email it over to me at Sahara@eatfeelfresh.com. Again, that's Sahara, Sahara, at eatfeelfresh.com. And I will send you back the first half of my unreleased book, Eat Right for Your Mind Body Type, which goes all into Ayurveda, doshas, plant-based nutrition, body types, all of the things in a really fun and engaging way. So this is my gift to you for free for supporting the podcast. Every single review I personally read. It really helps the podcast be listened to by more people so we can raise the vibration of the planet together. And I am so grateful to have you on this journey. Thank you so much for listening, and I'll see you on the next episode. Namaste.